it's the May 9th meeting of the West Memphis Utility Commission. And Todd, if you
Yeah, we'll just go ahead and start going with some of the informational stuff. We'll go over to the safety report for April. It's been 15 days since our last recordable. We had a reportable injury, and Brett's out at a conference, so he could not report on this. But I can tell you what it was. Is we had a person cut their hand on some glass in the field, ended up having to get stitches in it. So one of those things, as soon as you put a stitch in it, and it becomes a reportable. But again, I think it was a great run. Again, with all the things that our personnel encounter, I think it's still an excellent thing. As long as we did go, and it did not result in a lost time accident. So it's been 576 days since our last lost time accident. And you can see the incident rates with the safety. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Going on to personnel update. You can see these numbers up here. Danielle noticed this after she had sent out the packets. You notice the numbers up here are different than what's on she had this set up to where they automatically updated. For some reason, they didn't automatically update when she added them into the spreadsheet. But we filled 2 more positions, both of them in the metering department, meter readers. So where we're at, we are continuing to look for other positions and have them filled. We're continuing to take applications from the water, wastewater positions, trying to get those areas filled. Haven't found the right candidates to fill those positions. Terry has, in the assistant office manager's position, has went through all of the applications for the assistant office manager. She is in the process of narrowing it down. We pulled the job off based on the number of applications we've gotten so far, and I think she feels comfortable that there's a good candidate out there. So she's in the process of narrowing that down to 3 or so personnel, and then we'll probably be doing second interviews. So hopefully by our June meeting we'll have that position filled, and then from there she's going to start backfilling with her assistant office manager, backfilling some of the entry-level positions and using them as a resource to help fill those positions. Is that correct, Ms. Terry? I thought I put that right. So again, continue to work on those things. And the 2 new employees. I'm all live, and we can start with Fernando. You can stand up first, introduce yourself, tell you where you're from and everything.
I'm Fernando. I'm from West Memphis. I was at MLGW before I came here.
Okay. So again, Fernando, you can see, was hired April 15th, and we're glad to have him on board.
My name is Michael Lamb Jr. from West Memphis, Arkansas. Came from a dialysis clinic in Memphis.
Okay. And if you noticed his name, he's got some big shoes to fill, because I know his father's thought of very highly in our utility. So I know he's going to do a good job for us. So glad to have both of them on board, and I think Mario has already spoken highly of both of them and their eagerness to get out there and work. So we're glad to have them on board, and again, local West Memphis folks, and hopefully have long tenures with us here at the utilities. Anything else? I think that's going to be it on informational basis. After that, we have to have a quorum. So with that, thank you guys.
thank y'all.
Yeah, welcome.
Utility Commission's reporter. First item on the agenda is approve the minutes of the April 11th, 2019 meeting.
Make a motion that we accept on those.
Do I have a second? Have a motion by Ms. Marshall, second by Mr. Ross. Any further discussions, additions, deletions? All in favor? All opposed? The minutes are approved. Second item is the safety report that we have discussed. Don't need to do that again. Personnel update, we have 2 new employees in the meter department. We discussed that. Now, we have review and approval of manhole rehab project.
Boards will take care of that.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is part of our CAP response to the ADQ about our I&I issues. We've been working these types of projects for several years, so none of this is rocket science, but you would have thought so by the response we got from the vendors. We worked with them, we reached out to a number of them, but in the end, we only had one bidder for each project. So let me backtrack. We had 2 projects here. One was to rehab manholes. Basically, that was just to get in them. We have a lot of these old manholes that are made out of bricks. They've shifted. A lot of water pours into them during events like we have now, where it's been raining for a day. And most of that's just to go in and replace the top part of it and line part of it to seal that up. And then the other part was some sewer line rehab that initially involved digging some of it up, replacing it, running what they call pipe bursting through it and pulling a new line through it, where we didn't have to dig up the whole line, or running a new liner in it where it's cured in place and seals it. So we got bidders. Like I said, none of this is new technology, but we were stunned by the results. The bid amounts came in about twice as high as we expected. We've talked to both of the bidders, trying to understand what happened. We see some room on the manholes. There was some, they had some ambiguity. Didn't quite understand everything. And we went back to the previous 2 or 3 times we've done this to compare prices, so we knew the areas where we had problems, or they had problems. So we're working with them. The sewer line rehab, there's not much movement there. The only option we have is to go back and reconsider some of the techniques, maybe break it down a little bit. Maybe we put in too many apples with the oranges. We had some other work we wanted done, and we thought, well, we had a big contractor in here, they would subcontract to someone locally and get that done. That's not what happened. So we have some options we'd like to pursue, and so what our request is to approve letting us continue to work with these 2 vendors, with the understanding at the end, the best course may be to reject one or both of the bids and take the information we've learned and go out and rebid. And we have time. This work needs to be done in dry weather. It wouldn't be starting right away anyway. And October is our driest month, so we really have into October to get this done. So we do have time if we need to rebid. Any questions?
What's the time frame on the project from start to completion?
It's about 3 months. Took us a month to get the details worked out, then to mow in and whatnot. So we have to go back. We'll be meeting with the engineers that put this together next week, sharing with them what we found out. Sometimes contractors complain no matter what, so they'll help us decide, filter that out, because they've done a lot of these projects.
So do you need a motion or?
I think what we're looking for is asking your approval to accept the low bids with the understanding to approve the low bids.
So you won't bring them back to us?
That's correct. We won't bring them back. This is a question, can we because we're going to negotiate with them on reduction of the pricing. If they get the pricing down within, through change order of the project, because we are accepting the low bid. And if we bring it down to,
He said you might reject it.
No.
but if they don't budge, we could end up rejecting and rebidding. Can we
Just
do
save
that?
us some money.
Can you reject something we've already
I
approved?
don't think
Like, I
we can do
think
that.
we're-
Accepting it and then rejecting it,
That wording,
yeah.
yeah, what we wanted, we wanted to let you know what the situation was, and rather than say, hey, we're gonna work with these guys and we come back next month, if we get something worked out next week, then we'd like your blessing to move forward with the project, but doing so with the knowledge we may not get it worked out and we'll want to reject. So we're asking you to give us that authority to move forward and either work something out or say, no, we'll rebid.
So let me just make sure I understand.
No, no, you're fine, you go ahead, no.
Well, so you're saying that you want them to approve the negotiation of the
Allowing
lowest
us.
bid and then determine whether to accept it if you can negotiate it.
If we get it back close to our budget, or we understand, hey, or maybe our budget was just wrong, then we'd like to move forward.
What was the budget?
About a half, so we're looking at about 450 on the first one and well under $1 million on the second, about 850 on that.
Is this the whole city?
No, it's,
It's just a little piece.
right, yeah, we'll be back, next year, we'll have another one next year. This is the ones that were deemed the most critical, that we could get the biggest impact from, because the objective is to lower how much water.
Sure.
In these areas.
So,
And we have to do this.
yeah, we're gonna have to figure out a way to do it, yes.
It's just a question of how much.
Do we want to do it? Yeah.
So if time is not really of an essence, could we not just table it till next month?
Well, then, we lose a month. We'd like to be able to get the negotiations done, because if we get it figured out next week, then we have to wait 3 weeks before we bring it
Well,
back to you.
what if we go ahead and just pass a motion approving y'all to negotiate these, and then if you get them negotiated down by the end of the week, just have a call meeting where we come in here and handle this these 2 items, and then approve the new bids you've got or the new costs you've got. I'm like the attorney, I hate to approve something that we're gonna maybe have to turn down or adjust. Because if we approve it, we're saying that's okay.
Well, then you don't have to, we're going to negotiate and bring back a price that is either favorable or unfavorable.
Okay. Even if it's the same thing, you've negotiated it.
Well, if it doesn't come down, we're going to negotiate something. If it's not favorable, we're going to say, sorry, forget it, we're rebidding.
That'd be a rejection.
Yeah, would they need to vote on the rejection, because it has been forwarded by the commission for their disposition.
Well, I think that
If we're not forwarding it, that's what.
City council.
City
City council did, for y'all to have it
Send it back
handled.
to
I don't
us.
think we, as a management team, can reject them. I think y'all have to, we can make the recommendation that you reject them, but I don't think we can say they're rejected, and we can say why we're rejecting
I
them.
think that's right. You're talking
Okay.
about giving the authority to negotiate it, to determine whether to accept or reject.
Okay, and then if we do it, we can have a call meeting.
Sounds like we need a call meeting regardless.
That's correct. No matter what, if we do that, no matter what the outcome is, we'll have to have a call meeting either to come up with the new proposal that's negotiated or that we're rejecting and rebidding.
So we'll try to bring it back right before the next
Set
scheduled
something
meeting.
up next week.
Well, if we have to rebid this, getting this turned back around, because again, I have to open these within city council and that's June 6th is the first city council meeting. So trying to get the new specs or new proposals sent back out and get a good
We won't be.
pool, we will not have that amount of time.
But if you have something of urgency, I mean, I don't see why you can't get the city council to call an emergency meeting, because
Right.
this is something that needs to be dealt with. you know.
Right, and we could, I'm just saying it wouldn't happen before our next, in early enough time for our next meeting with prearranged scheduled meetings. So,
Is there any kind of time restraint from you on this?
no, this is just we're working on it. And I think us continuing to show our due diligence is the key.
If we
Yes.
budgeted half of what came back, then certainly we have a case to say, we're still working on it.
So, I guess we just need a motion to negotiate,
Yes.
or do we even need that motion?
I don't know that you need it.
I don't think so either.
But it'll be
Okay.
a paper trail.
We're just not willing to approve it
Yes.
yet.
Okay.
You want to make
Alright.
a motion to that? I think we should, actually, since it was brought
It's just
before, we
table
need a
it.
We need
motion.
to do something with it.
Table it until,
I make a
There you-
motion that they go back and work on it.
okay?
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
We have
At
a
this
motion by
point,
Ms. Marshall,
Yes.
by Mr. Burns. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
And actually, did y'all vote for just the manholes or the sewer?
No, both.
Okay. Capture that.
Maybe we've saved enough on the big sewer lines to help pay for that.
All right. That's it.
All right, anything else? Anybody got anything else? Mr. Ross,
And a motion and meeting will be adjourned.
have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. We stand adjourned. Thank y'all for coming out.